So today I will talk about Bitcoin mining heat reuse. Who am I? I'm Jaran Mellerud. I'm the CEO at HashLabs, a global Bitcoin mining company. We are reusing the heat from our Bitcoin mining operations. So a little bit more about my background. I studied energy management in university. It's a double degree between Nord University in Norway and MGIMO in Russia. And during my studies, I became very interested in the subject of utilizing Bitcoin mining as a tool to solve various energy problems. So, driven by this interest, I wrote my master thesis about how to integrate Bitcoin mining as a demand response mechanism in power systems. And I continued to, I got a job in the Bitcoin mining space after that, and since then I've been full-time working in the Bitcoin mining industry, and I view Bitcoin mining as a very interesting and potentially the biggest potential of energy technology that exists today. One of the biggest applications of Bitcoin mining in energy systems is heating. So 50% of the global energy consumption goes to heating. And 40% of the global energy-related CO2 emissions comes from heating. At the same time, the EU wants to reduce emissions by 90% by 2040. So we see here that heating is the biggest source of energy demand on the planet. So if you want to reduce emissions, it might be good to look at how to make heating more efficient. I believe Bitcoin mining is the perfect heating technology. Why? I will explain now 4 factors that makes Bitcoin mining a very good heating technology. Firstly, Bitcoin mining outputs heat. So as you can see on the illustration here on the left side, first electricity goes into the machine. The machine generates hash rates, which again is transformed into Bitcoin. And then it blows out the output heat. So basically all the electricity that goes into the machine goes out on the other side in the form of heat. And this is not just a little bit of heat, it's massive amounts of heat, because around 80% of the operating expenses in Bitcoin mining is electricity. So we see that right now there is a massive amount of heat being wasted by Bitcoin mining operations around the world. They consume around 20 gigawatts of electricity combined. So there is a potential of reusing 20 gigawatts of heat from mining. Secondly, Bitcoin mining is an interruptible process. This means that it can be paused and restarted at any time without significant consequences. And for heating, this is very good because it means that we can adjust the energy consumption of the Bitcoin mining machines exactly according to the heating demand at any given time. So in general, Bitcoin mining is a very flexible industrial process, which makes it easy to implement into other solutions. And we can use it as a tool to solve several energy problems. Thirdly, Bitcoin mining is a location agnostic process. This means that you can basically set up a Bitcoin mining operation practically anywhere on the planet as long as you have access to electricity there. So on the right side here is showing where we have our Bitcoin mining operations right now: Ethiopia, Finland and northern Norway. So we are able to put operations exactly where there is excess electricity, and this also means that we can put our operations exactly where there is a demand for heat. Because as you know, heating demand is very localized. It is in specific areas, and you can't transfer heat very far. That means that you need to take the heat production directly to the heating demand, and since Bitcoin mining is so location agnostic, it's possible to do that with Bitcoin mining. Also, Bitcoin mining is a modular process. So you can scale the Bitcoin mining load exactly according to your basis. So as you can see here on the illustration, one Bitcoin mining machine consumes around 3 kilowatts of electricity. If you want to have 6 kilowatts of heat, okay, then you can add one more machine. If you need 9 kilowatts, then just add 3 machines. So you can see that you can exactly scale a Bitcoin mining operation exactly to the amount of heat you need to be produced. So for example, we have a project in Finland, a heat reuse project. There the demand is for 1.5 megawatt of heat. So we have bought and installed 210 machines that exactly produce 1.5 megawatt of heat. If the demand was 2 megawatt, okay, we would just buy a few more machines. So it's very, very flexible technology, Bitcoin mining, and therefore it's easy to integrate into other systems. Now I will talk about how we can reuse the heat, like what applications can we use it for. So I will go through a few examples now. There are definitely many more than I will mention here, but I will mention a few examples now. First, one of the simplest applications is to heat swimming pools or spas, saunas, etc. So on the right side here you see a picture of a system which is heating a pool. Basically what this system does is that it takes in water from the bottom of the pool where it's cold, and then it goes into this basically machine here, which consists of Bitcoin mining machines that are heating a heat exchanger that heats the water inside there, and then the hot water is pumped out again into the pool. So it's a closed loop system, and this pool is entirely heated by this Bitcoin mining system here. So this is quite easy to set up. If you're a bit tech savvy, you can get it done. And one of the reasons I share this in this presentation is because, like, I'm from Norway, we have no outdoor swimming pools here. But in Germany, I know it's a little bit more common, and also in other countries in Central Europe, many people have outdoor swimming pools. And they require heating. So here you might be able to, if you're already using electricity to heat your pool, now you can mine Bitcoin with this electricity and then also heat the pool at the same time. So you can save quite a bit of money by doing that. Another application which is also quite simple is space heaters. So we have a lot of space heaters in Norway, and you can integrate Bitcoin mining inside these space heaters. So there is a company, there are several companies who do this. I think the most famous is 21 Energy from Austria. So they sell these space heaters basically. And what they basically do is that they integrate some Bitcoin mining machines or some hash boards inside this heating cabinet. And it reduces the sound, improves the design so that it looks cool. Like, I had a Bitcoin mining machine in my living room and my wife always told me to remove it. So here it can actually look good, and it also is user friendly. So you have like an app where you can see how much Bitcoin you mine, etc. So basically what you do here is you offset electricity cost for electricity that you otherwise anyways would use for heating, by also generating some Bitcoin for it. But you have to be aware that these heaters are generally quite expensive, so it's not sure that it will be worth it in to buy one. But I think they will get cheaper over time, which is very good. This food production might be the biggest potential of heat reuse, because there's just so many types of food production that require heat. For example, you have greenhouses, you have fish farms, you can beer brewing. And on the right side here you see a smolt farm, like that's where the smolt, which is the fish babies, are produced before they get old enough to be in the sea. So I'm from Norway, we are the biggest salmon producers in the world, and there is a lot of electricity being used to heat this water. So it could be integrated with Bitcoin mining to heat this water, so that the small fishes can live there. Also, for example, I see greenhouses is a big potential, because in northern Norway, where I'm from, we have very, very little vegetables and fruits are grown there. But if you can make it more economically efficient to build big greenhouses through reuse of heat from Bitcoin mining, that might unlock more opportunities to build greenhouses there, which is good for the food security. And beer brewing, like I personally see a company from Canada, it's called Mint Green. they have made like a beer brewing technology that is heated by Bitcoin mining. So there is possible in Canada to buy the beer made by Bitcoin mining. So district heating, that's a very, very big potential of heat reuse from mining. That's what we're seeing right now is being done right now. So we are doing that in Finland. So we have a container with Bitcoin mining that is connected directly to a district heating plant in Finland, and it delivers the heat into that district heating plant so that they can use less fossil fuels to boil water that is delivered to the city. So basically how a district heating plant works is that traditionally they use fossil fuels or biomass, they burn it, boil water, send the water in pipes through like big commercial buildings or hospitals or etc. And of course this has a lot of CO2 emissions associated with it, and also it's quite costly to buy all this fuel. So especially in Finland right now, this is driven by the fact that district heating systems in Finland, they are under pressures from the government and from the EU to lower carbon emissions. And at the same time, historically, they have purchased a lot of the fuel from Russia. And of course, now they don't want to buy this fuel from Russia anymore. So we are helping them be less reliant on Russian imports, as well as lowering their carbon emissions. Finland has a very big electricity surplus right now because they opened a big nuclear power plant a couple of years ago. So what we're basically doing is that we are helping electrifying these district heating plants so that they can save fuel and we can use nuclear energy, wind energy, etc. for heating instead of fossil fuels. So this is being done, and not only we are doing this in Finland, there are several companies who are doing this, and it's getting quite big. I think in 2-3 years it will be quite a big source of heating in Finland, as well as other countries in Europe, because there are 17,000 district heating systems in Europe. So I know in Germany you also have a lot of district heating, Norway, Sweden, whole Eastern Europe is full of district heating. So I think Bitcoin mining will be a big component of these heating systems in the future. Here are some pictures from our Finland operation. So on the left side here, you see the back side of the machines. These are hydro-cooled machines, and you see the pipes there are taking in the water, the hot water from the machines, and then delivering them through all these pipes you see on the right side, and it goes further into the district heating system and into the tank where they have all the water, and from there into the city. So now we've gone through the applications of heat reuse. So let's talk about the technological factors in the implementation. Because there are especially two factors you have to be aware of. It's the cooling technology and the temperature constraints. There are 3 types of cooling for Bitcoin miners. You have air cooling. Air cooling is the simplest way. It's the classical way to cool a Bitcoin mining operation. You just suck air in on one side of the machine, it cools the machine, and then it goes out on the other side. Of course, simple, it's cheap, but it's very difficult to transfer heat in the form of air, and most of the heat then will be wasted anyways. So we have a project in Norway where we just pump the hot air directly into like a storage building, and this can work because this storage building, they don't care about the noise because air cooling makes a lot of noise, and it works for very few applications. So it's mostly hydro and immersion you can do to reuse the heat. Hydro cooling, that's very easy to maintain. It means that the machine is cooled by water. That's what we do in Finland. So these machines are the ones that we use in Finland to heat the district heating plant. Water can capture the heat and hold on the heat very well compared to air. So you can transfer the heat very easily, and it works very, very well. The best machine is WattsMiner, I think, for this purpose. And also some people, they use immersion cooling for reusing the heat. To be honest, it has some problems because it contains oil, and you have to be very careful that you don't spill this oil, because of course you don't want to put it into the nature. And this makes it, I don't think it's suitable for example, food production, because you don't really want this oil close to the source where you grow the food. At least you have to be very careful with it. So immersion is more complicated than hydrocooling generally. Also, one thing is that for different purposes, you need a certain amount of heat in the temperature. So the best miner currently for heat reuse is the Watts miner M63S, which you can see here from Finland. This machine can generate heat of up to 70 degrees Celsius for the district heating system. But most district heating systems, they need heat at more than 75 degrees. So basically right now this machine can only be used for a certain amount of district heating systems, not all of them. We believe that it's only a question of time before hydrocooled machines can deliver 80 degrees Celsius, which can unlock basically all the district heating plants in Europe to be heated by Bitcoin mining. So this might be 1 or 2 years away, but we are looking forward to that, because it will be very cool if Bitcoin mining can heat more of these district heating plants. Let's talk about the economic, societal and political implications of Bitcoin mining heat reuse. So of course this is a revolutionizing technology in many ways, so it has big implications. Let's first talk about the Bitcoin miner. So Bitcoin mining is an extremely cost competitive industry where miners always chasing the ways to reduce their costs. This is also what is driving the innovation in this technology. And you have to basically always look for ways to reduce the costs in order to survive in the long term in Bitcoin mining. If you get paid for the waste heat, you can view this as reducing your per kilowatt hour cost. So if you sell the heat to someone who needs the heat, you basically have a competitive advantage compared to Bitcoin miners who don't sell their heat. So Bitcoin miners who reuse the heat and sell their heat can become among the most cost-efficient Bitcoin miners in the world. And this is why I'm long-term bullish on Bitcoin mining in Europe, because in Europe we have a very, very significant heating demand compared to most other continents. So it means that Bitcoin miners in Europe can find demand for their heat, sell their heat, get paid for that, and be very cost efficient. Meanwhile, miners in like Middle East or in Africa, places where they have a lot of energy, but they have no heat demand there. So they will not be able to sell their heat basically. Also for society, it's of course very beneficial to reuse the heat from industrial processes in general. First of all, let's talk about district heating. So Europe has an electricity mix of, it's only 33% fossil fuels in Europe as a whole in the electricity mix. And this means that if you replace certain part of the heating from a district heating plant that is using the 100% fossil fuels to generate heat, you are theoretically reducing this part to only 33%. So it's very beneficial for reducing the carbon emissions. Also, of course, it's very efficient when it comes to the economic standpoint. You can save a lot of money. The district heating plant doesn't need to buy as much fuels. They can save money on that. Also, theoretically, if you use more electricity, and then you will have a higher utilization rate on the electric grid and on the system, which also should lower the electricity price for the consumers. And so yeah, it's definitely very good for the society as well. And also, we're seeing now a big political pressure from the EU against Bitcoin mining. The EU doesn't really like Bitcoin mining. And two, the EU is also pushing for data centers to reuse the heat. So the thing is that no data centers can reuse their heat as efficiently as Bitcoin miners, because like a conventional data center, they don't really generate that much heat. For example, Google in Finland, they are talking about how they're reusing the heat from their big data center. But what they don't tell you is that they have to use a heating pump on this heat they generate to increase the temperature enough to be used by the district heating system. Bitcoin mining, you generally don't have to do that because you generate already heat which is much higher temperatures than a conventional data center. So Bitcoin mining is the best computational process for heat reuse, definitely. Also because of all the factors I mentioned earlier in the presentation. So ironically, the EU will basically see that Bitcoin miners are the best producers of heat of any data center. And I think this can really benefit also the Bitcoin mining industry in Europe, because when you integrate Bitcoin mining into more and more heating applications, the EU will sooner or later understand that this is a very, very beneficial technology for the society and for the economy. So I think it can be very positive for the EU and also for the Bitcoin mining industry in Europe. So that's it. Thank you for listening to my presentation, and I encourage you to visit our website if you want to learn more about what we're doing. And yeah, now the floor is open for questions if you have any.